This is part 2 of Albert Einstein at School by Patrick Pringle, chapter number 4 of Snapshots, the NCERT supplementary reader for Class 11, English Core. I'm Deepta Vivekanand, taking you through this podcast. Until now, we know that Einstein has had an altercation with his teacher, Mr. Braun, and is deeply disturbed by this. He decides to leave school for good and talks to his friend Yuri about finding a doctor who can give him a medical certificate, declaring him unfit for school. Yuri has arranged for an appointment with Dr. Ernest Weil. The next day, Einstein shows up at the doctor's office, really very nervous, because he had no idea what to tell him. Dr. Weil put him at ease by saying that Yuri had already briefed him and that he didn't have to worry about making up a story. He agreed to give Einstein the certificate, but asked him what he would do once he was out of school and how he could move to another school without his diploma. To which Einstein says that he would get a letter of recommendation from his maths teacher, Mr. Koch, and subsequently shift to a college or an institute in Milan where his parents lived. Dr. Weil isn't convinced it would work out, but he gives Einstein the letter anyway, mentioning that he needed to stay away from school for 6 months. At this point, he also empathizes with Einstein and says, "I've only just stopped being a student myself, so I know how you feel. Here you are, and the best of luck." A delighted Einstein takes Yuri out to supper that evening, and the two friends have a laugh over the day's events. The next day in school, Mr. Koch gives Einstein a glowing letter of recommendation saying he is ready to study advanced mathematics at a college or an institute. Mr. Koch, however, says that he is sad that Einstein is leaving. And a puzzled Einstein asks Mr. Koch how he knows of his plan to leave the school. Before Mr. Koch can explain anything, Einstein gets summoned to the head teacher's office, whom he was planning to meet anyway. He wondered why he was being summoned, and it is at this point that something rather unexpected happens. Shall we find out? This is a hilarious turn of events, dear students, and the fun of it is in reading it as it is. So let's go to page 30, all the way to the end of the page, please. Right. So here goes. "I'm not going to punish you," the head teacher said, to Albert's surprise. "Your work is terrible, and I'm not prepared to have you here any longer, Einstein. I want you to leave the school now." "Leave school now?" repeated Albert, dazed. "That is what I said." "You mean," said Albert, "that I am to be expelled?" "You can take it that way if you wish, Einstein." The head teacher was not mincing words. "The simplest thing will be for you to go of your own accord, and then the question won't arise." "But," said Albert, "what crime have I committed?" "Your presence in the classroom makes it impossible for the teacher to teach and for the other pupils to learn. You refuse to learn, you're in constant rebellion, and no serious work can be done while you're there." Albert felt the medical certificate almost burning a hole in his pocket. "I was going to leave anyway," he said. "Then we are in agreement at last, Einstein," the head said. Einstein walked out with his head held high, without even bothering to close the door behind him. As he walked out of the school, he did not even feel like turning back to give the building one last look. All he could think of was that he was now finally free after 5 miserable years of schooling. After saying goodbye to Yuri, the only person who ever really mattered to him in Munich, Einstein leaves for Milan. So, students, Einstein's story is the story of many students all over the world. Many a times, students go through the education process like an assembly line, without really thinking about what interests them or what their unique qualities are. Einstein knew right from the beginning that he wanted a career in theoretical sciences. But The system did not let him flourish or maximize his potential because of its own constraints. However, he fought back. He knew his path and followed it regardless of the obstacles that came his way. We all know about his groundbreaking theory of relativity that became the foundation for many other concepts in physics. And it was his dedication and commitment to his area of work that got him the Nobel Prize too. So, what do you think about the role of education in your lives? What purpose must it serve? Is education only about remembering facts? I find this story very relevant to the current time too. I, as an educator, always imagine a system where students can choose their own subjects of interest and explore them deeply over their years in school, as opposed to jumping from one topic to another and being pressured to cover the syllabus. A school where free thinking and questioning is encouraged and where imagination can run riot. So tell me, if you were to run a school, how would your pupils be taught? I'll leave you with those questions for now. Now that you have a background, I hope you will read the story on your own and also do your research on Albert Einstein, his thoughts, his ideas, his beliefs, and his philosophy.